Hello and welcome to a very, very exciting video for me, and I hope for you guys as well. So finally, I mean, a lot of you guys will have already had this game, but me, the creator, Niall, has only I only just received this yesterday. I received Oddities on Sunday. It's currently Tuesday, and I received the base game on Monday. I'm based in the UK, and I'm personally fulfilling all UK orders, and yeah, the UK shipment just arrived in town. So this video is going to be an unboxing of Fail Knockout and Oddities. I've already unboxed it, to be fair. I unboxed it and organized it. And speaking on that as well, is I'm going to be showing how to actually organize the game. I know some people have questions about that. We actually spent a lot of design time on the insert itself. But this is also going to be, it's going to be a very honest video because this is the biggest game by far I have ever produced. You can go on the Kickstarter account or just go on Board Game Geek and search my name, and you can see the previous games which I've worked on. And yeah, you can see just the size difference, first of all, but the scale and number of components, the complexity of the design, all of that, which means that, of course, there are going to be some issues and some mistakes and some lessons learned going forward into the next game. So let's have a look at the base game. Now, one major difference, if you look at the Kickstarter page, you can actually see is, and this is the case throughout a couple of things with the game, is that even though after the Kickstarter ended, we'd sold people on the idea of the game, looking a certain way and having a certain number of components, throughout the course of post-production, which ended up being quite a long time, I wanted to make a bunch of changes. I wanted to make a bunch of upgrades and make it even better than what people thought they were going to get. And the first thing is I wanted to update the box art. The box art wasn't a placeholder like the one that you see on Kickstarter. It was just genuinely my personal best effort. So a free way without paying an artist to make the box look good. But after the Kickstarter ended, we used some of the funds to pay Fodsley, the artist, as you can see here, to redo the front of the box and make it bespoke and not just reuse artwork which we already had. As you can see here, the box is a bit dinted, which is why I used it as my copy. I didn't want to give this to someone else because of the slight dint at the top there, a slight fold. But yeah, additionally, through just having the prototype for a while, but also from feedback from people who I lent prototypes to, we wanted to upgrade the game by including a band. I got the idea because a lot of people do just include bands with their games anyway, because some boxes are like more tightly packed than others. But this game, because if you don't know, if this is the first time like being introduced to Fail Knockout, then this might surprise you. But the box actually has two bottom boxes, which is very, very unique, and it poses a unique problem. Is that depending on the weight distribution of the bottom boxes, like if it's evenly distributed, like if this was taken out the shrink wrap and no components were touched, it probably would, as long as you were holding it like nicely, it probably no bottom boxes would fall out. But once you distribute it so that you have more weight on one side, which is how I recommend you do it, then it becomes quite easy for one of the bottom boxes to fall out, just because of this middle bit here. There's just that extra bit of like sort of lack of friction, shall I say. But yeah, let's get to it. Sorry for hitting the mic there. Let's take the band off, which is pretty easy to do, and even though it is quite tight, from my experience, it's quite friendly to the actual box itself. It doesn't really damage it when taking it off with a bit of care. But yeah, we'll take the top box off. There we go. And then, as you can see here, this is how I personally have organized my game. So, because the cards actually arrive in the insert let me just take these out because this one's the easier one to take out. Arrive in the insert. I love the smell of a new board game. in this like little square bit here, as you can there you go. It arrives in here just because it's the exact same size as well as a deck of cards. You know, people thought that that's how they would have to store the cards, and then they were like, well, what's all these bits here? What are these bits for? Are these for the like individual tokens? And maybe that's like a decent way to actually store the game. It's just not how it was designed to. But as you can see in the front here, this is how the game was designed to be stored. So we have, and it's a bit tight, to be fair, because of the extra standees from the expansion. But the idea is that one box was to be able to house all of the base game and at least the Oddities expansion, and then this box was to be for future expansions. Additionally, the insert is, you know, you can pull it back out as well. So if you were storing stuff in an insert, you could actually pull the insert out and have that separate if you wanted to, just depending on how you want to store it. I want to make it so that depending on how long you want to sort of be on the journey of fail knockout, which is a very weird phrasing. You know, you could use these inserts however which way you wanted to. But yeah, if you have a look here, you take out, let's take out Cage's deck, for example. So you can see the back there is Cage. So that entire section there is just the right size for Cage's deck. Now, one thing which this is the first bit of honesty, well, a bit of reflection, shall I say? I'm going to be honest throughout all of this, of course. First bit of reflection is that this insert was not designed for sleeved cards. It wasn't something which I considered, just because, first of all, I don't really sleeve my cards, but also I thought that even if people did sleeve their cards, because this game, the cards are designed to be functional rather than like super pretty. Like as you can see here, it's all iconography based. I mean, I think it looks quite good, but it's not like got super cool like shiny artwork on it. That's like bespoke to every card. I was like, are people going to want to sleeve this? Turns out some people do. So if we were to ever do a second edition of this, then, and we've got plenty of space to do it, we'll just increase the size of these little holders here to include sleeves as well, the space for sleeves. But yeah, all cards here, base game and expansion, and the AI fighters are underneath these standees, which is also why the standees are sticking out a bit. Additionally, you could have the AI fighters in this section. I just wanted everything to be in this bit. Additionally as well, you would stick the player boards on top, nicely there, and it just fits in perfect size. And you would put the... I keep hitting the mic, sorry. You would put the guidebooks just on top here, and that'll fit nicely. Or you could put it on top of the player boards as well. Second thing, which was an upgrade after the fact, is this bag. Now, this bag is too big. I completely agree. It is a bit too big, but it was one of those cases where if you've ever... if I'm speaking to anybody that's gone through the process of production and manufacturing a board game before, this was a decision which was made not on a whim, but it wasn't made ahead of time. This was what happened is I was working very nicely with someone from Hero Time who was really invested in this game, and they were like, you know, it'd be great for Spur is for him to actually have a material bag. It only costs this much more because we have these bags in stock. And I was like, well, this game doesn't have a massive budget, but it was a big enough upgrade to have a material bag where I was like, you know, let's do it. But the caveat is that it wasn't the case. We designed this bag. We didn't get them bespokely made. This was just a bag that the manufacturer had in stock. So we got this, and you could use it for whatever reason. You could use it to store all the standees if you want. And you could get a different opaque bag to house Spurs tokens. I do think that it functionally completely works. Like it's completely functional. So I will be using it when I play it to shuffle and house Spurs tokens. But yeah. So that's the general gist of the game. Then we move on to we could have a look at a couple of player mats. The player mats are different to that on Tabletop Simulator. This is because we need them to fit nicely into the box. The box is slightly thinner than the dimensions that are on Tabletop Simulator, so we've repositioned everything. And I actually prefer the meter at the top, to be honest. I think the meter at the top it makes more sense because if you look at video game fighting games, the meters are always at the top as well. But yeah, if we just cycle through a couple of these, very high quality, very nice. I personally really, really like them. We got Calico and Neptune there for the expansion. Really happy with that. We'll have a look at Sly as well. Very, very cool. Very, very happy. So, I'll stick that back in there. The next thing is the guidebooks. The guidebooks, if I was to do this again, I would potentially look at a slightly different way of cutting these. So these actually look quite nice, this base game one. But I've seen from other people's copies and also from my own personal Oddities expansion. Let me see if I can grab... I think it was Calico and Neptune's. Yeah, as you can see here, I'll try and illustrate it. You can see that it's like pointed up a bit there. It's not quite level. And so I would potentially look at making them Fresnel in the future. But yeah, as you can see here, the cut is slightly askew. I mean, this is something which just happens in manufacturing, and it's completely, it's just one of those things that's happened. So it's all about trying to make your game so that these issues which crop up with, manufacturing are nullified as much as possible by designing the game visually and components-wise around those potential issues. So yeah. Moving on to the standees. The standees are something which was actually a bit of a point of contention for some backers, and I'm going to talk about that briefly here. But one thing which I will mention is I'm going to do a deep dive, full tell-all kind of post-match analysis kind of thing on this expansion, just because, and I'm going to post that as like kind of the final Kickstarter update on Kickstarter, just to show not only current backers but also future backers like every single thing about this product, what went wrong, what went well, and what we're doing, what lessons we are learning in order to fix it. So one thing with the standees is I'm actually trying to find an example right now, but because of the standee holders, occasionally you will get some slight damage. I mean, you can kind of see it on that one. I don't know whether I got lucky or whether because of the way I was placing the standees in the holders, it actually reduced the chance of the damage. But you do get some slight damage on the standees due to the standee holders. This is probably the best example of one. That is probably the worst case that I've got in this game. And it's one of those things which happens with a lot of games. A lot of games have standee holders which are a tiny bit too tight for the standees, and it's just because that's the way a lot of standee holders are. But what makes it particularly prevalent, and something which a few people have pointed out with this game, is that the standee holders are clear. And that's something which, obviously, because they're clear, you can actually see a bit of the damage which happens. Thankfully, though, one thing which I will say is that this game comes, unlike a lot of other games, comes with enough standee holders for every single standee in the game, which means that once they're in once, you never have to take them back out again. Every single standee can be put in the standee holders initially, and then boom, done. You don't have to touch them again. Obviously, unfortunately, there's a slight bit of damage, and I personally would say, just from my experience with other games, even more unfortunate that you can see it because of the standee holders being transparent. However, this is something that we are going to address and look at in the future. We're going to try and get slightly bigger standees without making it so that the other thing happens, which I think is worse, in that the standees become loose, and then also making them opaque. In that case, there is a tiny bit of damage, at least you won't have to see them. Now, the final thing, which is something which we have addressed and is currently being sorted, if you haven't seen the Kickstarter update and you're a UK backer, then hopefully this is not a warning, but a good sort of heads up, is that some cards have been slightly misprinted. So, for example, this is what actually caused the whole entire issue. So there's 2 short kicks in Mercury, which there shouldn't be. If anybody's played the tabletop simulator version, then you would know. But yeah, there shouldn't be 2 short kicks. But because of that, the entirety of the base game from Mercury onwards is apart from Spur and Axel, because they were on a different sheet, is 1 off. so that there's for Mercury V, and Zero, and also there is actually one card in Spur which is irrelevant to this problem. There's one card which doesn't work, or which doesn't make any sense, which makes it so that the whole deck doesn't really function, because either a card back is wrong, or there's a card that's like associated. It's mainly the card which is associated with the wrong card back. What that means is when you have 3 cards in hand, or when you're looking at a card from the top of the deck, you'll be able to tell what card it is. So let me use another example to illustrate this. V is probably a good example. Realign actually has Mercury's reference card on the back of it. So tell me which one Realign is. So if you're holding your cards like that, then you'll be able to see. Now, this is something which is being addressed. We are currently working on the replacements right now, and those will be sent out to every single backer free of charge, because obviously it is a massive impact on gameplay. It completely breaks the game for three fighters, and it's something which we're gonna fix. Like no questions asked. This was something which was when it was immediately brought up to me. I was like, right, I'm getting on to the manufacturer and I'm getting this sorted, and that's currently being sorted. All games will be fulfilled before the replacements are fulfilled, so everyone will receive their game before they can play 3 of the fighters from the base game. But we're going to try and get those replacements out to people as quickly as humanly possible. Like, we're working very hard on making sure that we get it done. But yeah, so that is everything to do with Fatal Knockout. It also comes with a dice as well, and also one other thing is to house the upgrade cards for Sly. We also put them in that little bit down there, just so because they don't fit in the in this section here. I mean, you could make them fit in the other section insert, but one of the reasons, just in case either people don't fully understand, or it's just something that's worth showing. The reasoning why I wanted Oddities and the expansion and the base game to fit all in one box is so that you can do this with the other box, and then this box becomes, if you don't know, the stage. There we go, the stage for what you play on, which is pretty exciting. So if we get, let me try and grab someone here. Why am I just grabbing? I'm grabbing only AI robots. Why? I'm gonna try and do this with the camera. Hello, dog. You fit the standee on there, and it fits nicely. Beautiful. Right, okay, that's gonna be it for this video. I'm going to be again posting a big Kickstarter update next. Well, as soon as we got the replacements sorted out, really. Just like to say everything that happened with this game from start to finish, and hopefully that'll be interesting for people. I'm not too sure, but hopefully you enjoyed this unboxing anyway, and how to organize as well. Let's show it there. I think it looks so cool. I'm very, very proud of this game, despite some of the mistakes and errors that we had with it. But this is a first edition of from a studio from a publisher that has only ever made very, very small games. So I'm pretty proud of what we've done so far, and hopefully you guys continue supporting us as we continue to try and make great games. So thank you very much, and goodbye.